Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Aisha, your host. When we think of religious heroes of old, we often think of men of great faith. But what about the women? In our series on remarkable women in Islamic history, we turn today to two of the greatest, Khadija and Aisha, wives of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Both made unique contributions to nurturing and educating the early Muslim community. What lessons can we learn from their lives? Joining me to explore their stories is Dr. Shabir Ali. Welcome to the show, Dr. Shabir.
Pleasure to be on.
So we're back on our Remarkable Women series, and today we're focusing on Khadija and Aisha. Why are they so popular, for lack of a better word, in the Islamic history?
Well, for one thing, you've got the name of one
Yes.
of them, but let's start with Khadija. Khadija was the first wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and during her lifetime, he did not marry again. That marriage lasted for about 25 years. He was about 25 when he got married to her, and then she died when he was about 50 years old. She was in that formative period of Islam when the Prophet, peace be upon him, had no followers to begin with. He first received the call to prophethood when the angel Gabriel visited him, and he didn't know what to make of this. It is reported that he went home to his wife Khadija, and he was quite shaken by the whole experience, and he was saying, cover me, cover me. He was feeling like cold. And his wife realized that he was perturbed by this experience, and she said to him, son of my uncle, don't worry about this because you are a good person. She started to enumerate many of the noble qualities of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and she assured him that no devilish influence can come upon a person of this good nature. She would not accept that that could be possible. And she took the Prophet, peace be upon him, to her cousin, a man by the name of Waraka bin Nawfal, who had some knowledge of Christianity. Some of the reports say that he was a Christian, and some other reports add that he used to write the gospel in the Arabic language. Some reports say in the Hebrew language. And it was expected that he would know something about angels visiting prophets and giving them a message of revelation. And indeed, he had some idea. When he had the Prophet, peace be upon him, describe his experience, he remarked then to the Prophet, peace be upon him, that what has happened to you is the great namus has come to you. And namus is apparently a reference to the Greek word nomos, which means law. And apparently Waraka bin Nawfal had in mind here that the lawgiver, or the angelic spirit who brings the law to the great prophets of the past, has now come and given a law to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a divine revelation.
So how did Khadija continue to help him spread the message of Islam? Because he got revelation when they were, during their marriage.
Yes, well, I should even back up a little bit if we wanted to talk about how she helped, because to begin with, she must have contributed to the fact that he used to, prior to receiving this revelation, he used to practice what is referred to as tahannuth, or a sort of meditation. He would retire to a cave for long periods of time. He would come back home, get some provisions, and then he would go back to retire to the cave. And obviously, a man cannot do this without the cooperation and help of his wife. And so in her story, we have the fitting example of the remark that says that behind every great man is a supportive woman. So it's on one of such occasion when he was meditating in the cave that he got this experience. And now, even after the experience, when he didn't know what to make of it, here is his wife helping him to make sense of his own experience. And had she not stood as a bulwark of support and a level-headed person to help him make sense of this occasion, we don't know what would have been the outcome of the religion as we now know of as Islam. So she continued to support him in this way. And even after this occasion, to answer your question more directly now, Khadija continued to support the Prophet, peace be upon him, because in that mission on which he now embarked, of preaching this message which came to him from God, that required a total and wholesome devotion. And that meant that the Prophet, peace be upon him, sacrificed whatever wealth he would have had. And much of this actually came through Khadija, because Khadija, prior to the religion of Islam becoming on the scene, had been a wealthy woman. She was a trader, and she hired men to carry out her trading for her. And this is how the Prophet, peace be upon him, got to know her, because she had hired the Prophet to trade on her behalf, and then eventually she proposed marriage to him. So during those years when the Prophet, peace be upon him, was struggling to deliver the message and he was persecuted by others, naturally Khadija was one of those who supported him. She was one of the first believers in his message. And when the Prophet, peace be upon him, had been ostracized by his people, Khadija suffered from that period of ostracization. And it was soon after that that she actually fell ill and died.
So it sounds like she was very established in society even previous to the Prophet coming into her life and even after.
That's right. And when she died, to mark the fact that she was very supportive of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that is referred to in our history as the year of sadness. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was naturally sad, not only because he had lost a close companion and friend and life mate with whom he had been married for 25 years, but also she had been a person who would be supportive of him. Imagine the Prophet, peace be upon him, facing all kinds of persecution outdoors because of his message, and then he comes home. He needs somebody to comfort him. Khadija was that source of comfort.
And we also know of another great woman who played just as much an instrumental role in the Prophet's life, Aisha. So can you share a little bit of information about her?
Yes, Aisha was quite young when she got married to the Prophet, peace be upon him. And looking back, we can see that the great benefit of this is that she was able to absorb much of the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and then pass that on to later generations. She lived for many decades after the Prophet, peace be upon him's death, and people used to go to her to consult her about the details of the Prophet's life. And so she became one of the prominent companions, if I use that broader term, of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to relate information about him. To the extent that some people said that half of the knowledge is with the men, and Aisha's got the other half of the knowledge of what would constitute the religion of Islam. Some 2,000 and more traditions regarding the Prophet, peace be upon him, are related from her. And only 3 male companions, or companions more generally, are known to have related more traditions than she has.
And after the Prophet passed away, she continued to play a prominent role in preaching and teaching the message of Islam to both men and women, right?
That's right, and a role even in politics, though the politics didn't go very well for her. It is noted that she led a delegation which came to be known in history as the Battle of the Jamal, the Battle of the Camel, because she rode a camel, and the heaviest fighting actually surrounded her camel until eventually she was captured. But the fact that she led this delegation shows her active participation in the affairs of her society, and the fact that she was a woman did not prevent her from this, and from her being a leader among men who came to be known in the Islamic tradition as great and honorable companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, such as Talha and as Zubair. The fact, even though the politics didn't work out very well for her and she was captured in that battle and then released, the fact that she was willing to engage with society in this way, I think, leaves a lasting legacy for Muslim women to realize that gender does not prohibit one, but rather, in fact, the Quran calls on both genders, men and women, to actively engage with their society and bring about betterment wherever this can be achieved.
Now, both of these are very inspirational women, and as you shared, there's a lot that we can learn from them. But what would you say to someone who says that, well, first of all, they were wives of the Prophet and they're already well above and beyond, and secondly, our political and social context is very different than what they were a part of? How can we relate to these women then?
Well, we can make some adjustment for the fact that they had been inspired directly by the Prophet, peace be upon him. His charisma, his presence, and so on would have had an impact on them, which it cannot have on us. But nonetheless, having made that adjustment, some broad strokes are still possible to see, both in their lives and in our lives, in the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the life of the men of today, in the lives of the wives of the Prophet, in the lives of women today, because they were human, we're human as well. They have both aptitudes and disadvantages. We also have aptitudes and disadvantages. We have to capitalize on our aptitudes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.